A powerful feature of SmartSuite is eliminating redundant data entry for your organization. Inside of SmartSuite, we can link to data so that we have the information living in one place, and we can then access that information through the linked relationship. Well, in this particular training, we're going to break down the different ways that you can access that data inside of your linked relationships in SmartSuite. So if that's of interest, stick around and let's get into it. Let's hop right on into my screen here and get right into how we can start linking records appropriately and accessing the data that lives in that linked relationship. So here I am inside of my product management solution, and I'm on my Sprints application. You'll notice that Sprints is connected to user stories. So if we flip over to user stories, we're going to see some information here, and this particular view is summarized by Sprint, but let's actually look at it in a grid view to get a feel for what we're looking at. So we see that we have different user stories that are logged here, and they are in many cases linked to a particular sprint. And in that user story, we are also tracking some tasks in terms of how complete they are. We have this slider here to see how complete this particular user story is. And of course, multiple user stories are rolling into one sprint. So we see here that 3 different user stories, from configure marketplace all the way down to bulk shipping, are all connected or linked to our B2B marketplace sprint. So let's head on back to our sprints now and take a look at this linked relationship. So here we are, all those user stories appropriately linked and consolidated at the sprint level. But what if we need to access information about these sprints? But what if we need to access information about these linked user stories? Maybe we want to know about the level of completion of each of these user stories. Well, there are a couple of different ways we can access that linked relationship. The first and easiest way is if it's on an ad hoc basis, we just need to look and get a glance of what's happening inside one of these user stories. I might click on that user story directly from my Sprints application. But because this particular user story, client management, lives in my user stories application, I am now able to access that user stories application. And so this is the record, client management, inside of my user stories application. I can scroll on down and see whatever data I need for this particular record. So here I can see that the percent complete is nothing. We have done no work on here whatsoever. I have edit capabilities for this particular record and field, so if I want to, I can actually change this, move it up to 50%, and save that particular record. So again, I've done all of this without even leaving my Sprints application. Now, the next layer of this is sometimes I need to bring that data into the current application. Rather than accessing that estimate or the percent complete, maybe I need to see it here inside of my sprints table. Maybe I need to see it here inside of my sprints application. So what I can do here is scroll on over, and I actually built 2 different examples for us. The first and easiest way is to use a lookup. A lookup field is going to allow us to look at the linked relationship that we've already established here, in this case user stories, and then we can bring back information relating to a specific field inside of that. So here I'm looking at my percent complete field, and what I get back in return is a breakdown of all the different things that have been linked here in terms of what their various percent completes are. So if I were to drill into messaging here, I would look and see that this one is 0% complete. That is denoted here by the nothing, the no value to display. Look at financial portal, 100% complete. That is denoted right here by the 100% complete. And lastly, 50% coming from client management. So this gives me a nice breakdown of that information, a layer deep through that linked relationship. But what if I want to do something with that data? Instead of just see it visually like this, that's where formulas are going to come into play. So here we have a formula example where we are looking at the user stories, and we first denote that by the linked relationship, which in our case, that field is called user stories. So we refer to that field. Afterwards, we use dot notation. So immediately following the field where we have the linked relationship, user stories, we have a period. And then immediately after that, we have the ability to call upon the different fields in the user stories application. So in this way, I'm able to say, give me an average of the percent complete inside of the user stories linked. So in our example, I then take that value, multiply it by 100 because I'm getting a percentage, and that is the output here. So we can see that we have 0, 100, and 50, which of course averages to 50. Here we have two links, but no lookup values. Both are 0, so the average is 0, etc., etc. So this is how we can access data that lives through that linked relationship, either by looking it up, clicking on the record and expanding it, or performing some sort of summation on that information. In this case, we did an average, but you can do many other types of formulas as well. If you have any questions about what we covered in this training, please ask them below in the comments section of this video. And until then, we'll see you in the next training.